Hey, what's going on, guys? Finn here, back with another ride video. Hope everyone's doing well and enjoying their summer. I know I said I would be quitting the riding here, but decided to stay in Arizona a little bit longer and potentially get more riding in, because, it's not miserably hot right now. Usually gets pretty unbearable around June or so when it gets over 100 degrees. But I've recalibrated my carburetor so it runs for warmer temperatures. And yeah, so everything should be running fine. Today is something just a little bit different. I am riding with a neighbor of mine, and this is the first time I got it on film. And we decided to ride out to the Log Corral Wash area. The first clip here, we're actually just kind of riding on a different trail that leads to nowhere. It's just kind of something that he found on the map, and he wanted to go explore, so I decided to follow him on this route and see what it had to offer. I'm pretty open to anything, so this didn't really bother me. So the beginning of this trail was pretty flowy, and it was very scenic. We saw lots of choyas and everything, but it began to get very steep at certain parts, and as well as very rocky. So I actually had a difficult time getting up the hill in certain areas just because it was so darn rocky and tires were bouncing back and forth. I wasn't sure if my tire pressure was right. I had it set a bit higher for the road because we did a little bit of highway riding before getting here. Right now I do an okay job, but later on you'll see it gets a little bit steeper and more technical. My neighbor, he was having a little bit hard time just because of his tires. They weren't gripping onto the rocks as well. They were actually similar to my old Shinko E804s, which were tremendously durable tires, but they didn't really grip onto much, and they were very bouncy with the rocky stuff just because of the stiffness of the carcass. But we eventually both made it to the top, and we took a slight break here at this little section where we came across this overlook. And I just thought this area was very beautiful because the landscape was very smooth and scenic, and we saw all the cacti and saguaros and all that, so it was very, very cool. Plus, I've never been here before, so having something new to explore is always nice. I brought my GPS with me on this trip just because I thought it would be nice to have, since I've never been here before, and I like to have areas marked and trails mapped and all that. But what I noticed is that through the rocks and stuff, that the cable, which was charging the GPS, was coming in and out and in and out, even though I had strapped a rubber band around it. But I have a rechargeable battery inside the GPS unit itself, and like I said, it's also plugged into it's continuously getting power. Those batteries are just there in case if I lose power from the main source. But it's a very neat thing to have. I like having a sense of direction and kind of getting an idea where I am. If any of you guys out there use navigation devices, let me know, just because I've been using this GPS for a while and it's been easy to load maps on and stuff. I know for the phone apps, it can be convenient if you have like a RAM mount. It's actually what I have for this GPS unit, but I found that the apps on the phone just never seem to work that well. This GPS unit, I loaded on a map from my computer, and it always works. Like whenever I turn it on, it directly goes to the map. It has one task and one task only, and which is what I like about having a separate GPS unit. Your phone, it's got everything on it. The battery runs out so quickly, and I don't like having my phone run for super long either because it gets pretty hot in the heat, and then everything just starts to slow down. So a little later on, we make it to the other overlook, and down there at the bottom, there's a little tank. It's called the Indian tank, I believe. And that's just a little place for cows and stuff to wander around. But during this time, my buddy had actually followed me down there, and he tipped his bike over, and the entire engine casing was cracked. So he lost a little bit of oil, but thankfully he carried some JB Weld with him, and he didn't even lose that much. When he put the bike back into normal position, I could still see the oil level was halfway in the glass, which is actually perfect. That's what I have mine at. So he had no problem getting back and up the hill. So that was basically our turning point. he wanted to go back to the car, which I completely understand because that's a pretty high risk, running out in the middle of the desert without oil and then starving your engine and then potentially breaking it. So he decided to go back to the car, and I decided to head back to Bartlett Dam Lake. So I was a bit bummed out when he had to go back to his car and go home, but I was able to explore the area and eventually make it to the lake. Along the way, I was surprised by how many fences there were, and I think this was all just to prevent the animals from getting out. And the funny thing is, I actually encountered a cow on my way, and he or she just wouldn't move. I was having like a staring contest with the thing, and it just kind of was a little funny, but I decided to just turn around and go around the cow because there actually was a side path that allowed me to do that. So I keep going a little further down the wash area, and I eventually make it down to the lake. So this was my first time being on the other side of Lake Bartlett. I got a really cool view of the dam and stuff, and I thought that was pretty neat. So near this time, my camera is close to dying, and I couldn't recharge it or swap my battery because my screwdriver was left in the car, and I needed that in order to take the camera out of the case to replace the battery, which kind of sucked. I never had that happen to me before. But it wasn't too exciting. All I did was go over the dam, or past the dam, and I just stopped by the river and then turned back around and did everything all over again. Overall, I thought this trip was pretty neat by exploring the backside of the lake. I was a little bit bummed out still that my friend couldn't make it over, but he has done it before, so he wasn't really missing out on anything. Sorry this isn't a traditional ride video. I kind of messed up with the audio with my ride. I just had literally no thought of what I wanted to say, so I just kind of stayed silent the entire time. And it's happened to me a few times before. So if I ever am in a situation where I can't think of what to say, I'll most likely just do a voiceover from now on. It's always nice talking while I'm in these riding videos, but half the time I'm concentrating on the trails, and it gets very difficult to come up with topics and discuss them while I'm plowing through rocks and going through single track and stuff. Sorry for not being the most entertaining video, but I hope it was better than nothing. I thought the area was kind of cool, and I just wanted to show you guys. But thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next video because I think it's going to be interesting. Thanks.